Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today we are going to be talking about how you can prepare for High Isle. High Isle will launch on PC and Mac on June 6th and June 21st for Xbox and PlayStation consoles. Thank you again to my newest patron, James, and thank you to my other patrons and YouTube members. I'll have more on that at the end of the video. But today in this video, like I said, we're going to go through a few things that you can do to start preparing for this expansion. And so one of the first things that you could do as a new player or as just a returning player is catching up on the story. If the story is something that you really enjoy in ESO, if it's something that you think that you don't want to be spoiled, then you might want to play through some of the other expansions leading up to High Isle. That way that you can kind of know what's going on. But if you do not know what's going on in the story and you do not care what's going on in the story, then that's something that you don't really need to worry about too much. But the story building in this game is something that a lot of people really enjoy, and it's one of the highlights of the Elder Scrolls Online. So I highly recommend you do play through the stories because I think you'll like them. The next thing that you can do is keeping your master writs. Okay, so I think around mid-June or like towards the end of June, we're going to be getting a new event in game, and that event is the Zenithar event. Okay, and so this isn't necessarily a High Isle centric event. Like, this will be something that everyone can do, but I wanted to mention this because I don't know how many people actually know that this is going to happen. The Zenithar event is going to essentially be a crafting event. You're going to get rewarded for turning in writs, and so what I would do is I would start right now holding on to your master writs if you have the inventory space. Put them in your bank, put them in your storage units, put them on characters you're not using, because the more of those you turn in, the more rewards you'll be able to get during that event in June, and that event is probably, like I said, about a month away or less. So definitely keep your writs, your master writs. I think those will be something that you can use later on. The next thing that you can do to prepare for this expansion is to check and update yourself on your build. Okay, if you're someone who is playing meta builds, then I'm sure that it has gotten changed. The Dragon Knight got a pretty big nerf, mainly because of PvP, and so you can definitely check that out. I'm still maining a Dragon Knight though. I've mained a Dragon Knight for about 7 years. So if you're not a meta player, then it's probably not something that you have to worry about too much. But if you are someone who wants to play the best of the best, then you definitely want to check out the patch notes. You definitely want to check out other creators like Skinny Cheeks or Nephis, Lucky Ghost as well. They keep up with more of the meta lineups, and I would definitely check them out to see if they have any sort of updated builds or item sets that are the top DPS or whatever you're playing in ESO. But for the most part, I would say that if you're not a meta player, you're going to be fine playing your character. There's no reason to switch, but that's something that you still want to check out, because even if you aren't a meta player, if you're playing DK and you don't realize that one of your skills got nerfed, Searing Strike, which is the heal essentially, that used to heal for 100% and now it does not heal for 100%. And so that's something you need to know, because if you're like, why am I not healing as much? That's the reason. So you definitely want to check that out. I have a patch notes video that kind of went over some of the bigger changes. I'll have that in the description as well. Along with that, you might want to start looking into some of the new item sets that you can run, or just changing up some of the item sets and start collecting some of them. For the most part, a lot of my builds don't change, because again, I don't make meta builds. I make builds that can clear content, but not ones that you have to change your sets every 3 to 4 months. But it's cool to look into, like, okay, what are some of the new sets that you can play in High Isle? What are some of the new sets that you can play that you've never played before from other expansions that might be used more in the High Isle expansion or update? And so that's something else that you can kind of dictate if you want to go after that, or if you don't want to go after that. The next thing that you can do is you can actually level up a new character to fit the Breton theme if you would like to. This is a Breton themed expansion, and some people like to level up a new character on a new expansion just to have a new experience. But along with that, it would be important that if you are sort of a newer player, or someone who hasn't played the other expansions, or you're just starting out, if you want to play the new raid, you need to be CP 160. And I'm not necessarily recommending that you rush to that point, but let's say you've been playing for a couple months and you feel like you're ready to start doing raids. definitely get your level to CP 160. Definitely get into the CP 200s if you can before the new expansion, because then you'll be able to probably go into a normal group for the new raid. It's not going to be easy, but it will be pretty fun. And we'll be running the new raid in our guild, and so I just want to mention that because I think sometimes players like want to do the new content when it comes out, and if you're a newer player, then that's one of the goals that you could have. Again, I don't recommend you just rush through everything, but if you are close to that or you want to run the new raid, just make sure you are level CP 160. And besides that, if you are a new player in general, I want to mention this. You really don't have to worry about falling behind. A lot of this is something that when it comes to preparing for this expansion, at least in ESO, every time you prepare for an expansion, sometimes it has more things to prepare for depending on the update. And sometimes it's not even the expansions that have a lot to prepare for. It just really depends on what they're adding to the game. And in this expansion, they're really not adding crazy amounts of things that you need to be like, okay, I need to go do X, Y, or Z, right? I need to do this before I can do this. And with ESO not having a gear score grind, it's not like you have to like prepare your gear for the next grind, right? I just want you to know that if you're a new player, there's some things that you really don't have to worry about too much, because you're not falling behind. It's just whether or not you're going to be playing the new content when everyone else is. And so I know a lot of people want to. So like I said, if you want to play the story, but just keep in mind that you will be skipping some of the story before that from the other expansions to kind of see how things are tied together. But that's really just something I wanted to mention to a lot of the new players. I'm going to be having a lot of other guides for what you can do if you're a returning player in the channel here for High Isle. But if you want to check out some other guides here in the channel, I have some up here in the cards that will help you out with ESO, so definitely go check those out right now. And also make sure to check out my Patreon and YouTube memberships. You can see early access to videos and much more down in the description. There's many more perks, but thank you again to my patrons. Thank you for everyone that supports me on Twitch, YouTube, everything, guys and gals. And check out our website at brahwegotthis.com. But until next time, just remember, have faith, be great, and I'll see you on High Isle.